Do we really think about our social experience in critical ways? In other words, do we use critical thinking skills to consider what it is that we're considering our social experience to be? In some ways, our social experience is a detractor. It takes away from other experiences we might have. Our social experience can take away from our private experience. It can take away from our personal experience. It can take away from our professional experience. How much time are we willing to give it? I think about a client of mine who's become a dear friend, and many years ago we were having a conversation. I remember distinctly having this conversation. We were together driving in a car, and he was talking to me about all of the various things that he was involved in. Many of them were social in nature. There were some clubs that he was a part of. There was a singing group that he was a part of. All of these community efforts that he was engaged in were wonderful. They were fantastic. He also had a very young family at the time. He also had responsibilities in other areas of his life, as well as his own business. All of which, all these things, pulling, dragging. And he had to determine, what is it that I'm going to do? Because you know what? I've only got so much time. My days are getting less and less about the things that are really most important to me. And that was the discussion we had. Well, what really is most important to you? I've talked about in previous podcasts how we organize our time, organize our lives really, around the things that are most important. And for most of us, those things that are most important are going to be the relationships that we have. So the personal experience for me is the most important element of experience. That's the one I'm going to focus on the most. That's the one I want to prioritize my time for. Is it the one that I give the most time to? Probably not in the larger scheme of things today, as my life is today, but my priority is around that. So in other words, I'm going to prioritize being around for my kids' games, or the things that are important to them, or the family events that we have. All of these things that we consider to be the important elements of that personal experience, those are the things that I'm going to schedule first. They go on the schedule, then I'll schedule around it. They are, in essence, the big rocks. Now, if you don't know the analogy of the big rocks, you can look it up, but it's a way to utilize the time that we have. We want to schedule the big rocks first, and then pour in the sand, and then pour in the water, because those things don't matter as much. So when we think about the time that we spend in our social experience, and when I say the social experience, I'm not qualifying that as being something that we go out and do socially, or whether it's time we spend online socially. Our social experience really should be governed by critical thinking from its origin. Critical thinking from the standpoint of how much time do I put in this, and then critical thinking about what is it that I'm actually doing with it. Is it just entertainment? Not that entertainment isn't important, and if you're using it for entertainment purposes, fantastic, but do we really need that much entertainment? So before the internet, when I taught this concept, I was teaching, do we really need all 4 quarters of Monday Night Football that followed the 3 games of football on Sunday that we watched, that followed the 3 games of college football that we watched on Saturday? This is the same type of thing. Do we really need to spend 2 hours on social media just thumbing through whatever it is that we can scroll into? Or do we have it purposeful? Is it timed out? My social media time is timed. I spend so much time per day. Now I'm spending it for business purposes. You may have other ways that you want to spend your time in your social experience. Whatever it is, I'm simply suggesting think critically about it from a time perspective and also from a use perspective. Is this really getting me where I want to be? Is it taking me to the next level? Is it taking me personally where I want to go? Is it taking me privately where I want to go? Is my private experience everything that I want it to be? Or do I need more focused time on that? And can I take it from here? There still are only 24 hours in a day. Those 24 hours are going to be consumed by different things. All I'm suggesting, think critically before you utilize the time that we have, and think critically about the social experience that we're engaging in. If you're listening to this on iTunes or on Google Play or wherever you get your podcast, thank you so much for being with me. I very much appreciate it. Please rate it so that we can continue to spread the message. And please share it with others so that we can expand the horizons of those who have and create exceptional experiences. Thank you so much.